cut list prioritization. It's a really exciting new feature we've added in PowerFab 2024, and we're pretty confident it's going to bring lots of benefit to our users. The first persona in this scenario is Matt, and he's a production manager, and he's responsible for organizing and prioritizing all of the material to be processed through the various different machines in his shop, including the saw, plasma, and the plate machines. Historically, Matt would print a physical copy of every cut list, and these would be stacked at the corresponding machine in the order in which they need to be cut. However, since going paperless, he's having trouble organising this in the same way and communicating the priority down to the shop workers. And at the moment, he's having to rely on either a handwritten list or verbal communication every time something changes. As part of the same workflow, we have Lexi, and she is a saw operator, and she also needs to make sure that the material is cut in the right order to meet project deadlines and in order to keep the rest of the shop busy. Lexi's problem is she doesn't know when she turns up to work every day what the first, second and third priority is, or if she does know, if things change, she's very dependent on either a handwritten list or being told verbally. So it's very hard for her to keep up with the priority of work to be done. And because throughout a day she's cutting material on different jobs, on different cut lists, she's spending a lot of time jumping between different projects inside PowerFab Go to find the correct cut list information. So our solution to these problems is a new cut list interface that allows production managers or planners to see all of the outstanding cut lists across all of the jobs in Tekla PowerFab, where they can be reviewed and managed, such as prioritized, assigned to workshops or machines, and where notes can be added as well. So as I've just mentioned, we've now got the ability to create workshops, machines, and machines groups to help kind of reflect how your workshop is configured and how you'd like to assign work. The same interface can then be used by machine operators, and they can see the exact priority of all of the cut lists for their particular area or machine, so they know exactly what they need to work on and in what order. And finally, all of this continues our kind of operation-based approach to make the workflows and user experience easier in Tekla PowerFab. We started this with the shipping calendar, and now we've extended it into cut lists, and we'll continue to do so in the future as well. And with that, let's go and take a look. So let's review the new cut list prioritization functionality in PowerFab 2024. And before we look at the main interface, I just want to show you under Maintenance, Production Control, there is a new Workshop Maintenance menu, whereby first thing we can do is define our workshops, including our subcontractors. So if your business has multiple workshops, you can create those. Equally, if you only have a single workshop, then you may use workshops to break down into work areas or similar. When you install 2024, you will automatically get a default shop in there, just so there's a placeholder for workshops. Once you've done that, you can then define your machines. Again, this is optional. You don't have to do this, but if you want to assign cut lists to individual work stations or machines, you can do. And a machine will always belong to a workshop. So when you define your machines, you will need to select which workshop it belongs to. You can also then create machine groups. So if you've got a series of saws, for example, and you want to assign a cut list just to the saws, but not necessarily pick an individual machine at that point, then you can create machine groups as well. It's just, again, a lot of this makes it very flexible of how you organize and assign work. Okay, so now I'm just going to open up a production control job that already has some cut lists created. So production control, review and cut lists, which is obviously where you'd normally create your cut lists. And you'll see that when you come to create your cut list, if I just go on the properties of this one, you can see that along with the date required that's always been there, and that we'll see that being used in a moment, we can also then assign the workshop, machine group, machine, priority, so on and so forth, and also the notes as well that can be entered there. So that's one that's already been done. I say these fields are available when you come to create the cut list as well. These cut lists have obviously been made previously, but here's one where it's completely blank. So you say, well, actually, I know this is going to be cut at the Atlanta shop. I know it's going to be cut on one of the saws, but maybe at this stage I'm not going to go ahead and assign a particular machine, and I might not at this stage assign a priority either, because I can do that later, which we'll see in a moment. So in terms of opening up the new interface, so the new kind of cut list prioritization interface, there are a couple of ways of doing that. The first is from this screen that I've got open right here. There's a new prioritize button down at the bottom left, and that will open up the new cut list management interface. With a production control open, I can use the production control drop down list, and under dashboards we can see cut list management there as well, and that will open up with a filter for this particular job. And if I come back to the production control job selection screen, under dashboards down here, again along with the other dashboards, you'll see cut list management. So I'll open it from here for now, and what this is going to do is, firstly, it will show me the filters. Now by default we'll always apply a filter for only cut lists which are not complete. Okay, for obvious reasons, we don't think it's a good idea to show every single cut list that's ever existed in your database ever, because there'd likely be tens of thousands of them for some customers. You can remove that filter if you want to, but generally recommend that you keep it on. And we'll come and look at some of the other filters momentarily, but for now let's just close the filters. And here we can see, most importantly, probably most significantly, we can see a list of all of the outstanding cut lists for all of our jobs throughout throughout PowerFab. Now, these are sorted in a particular order, so they're effectively ranked by priority, and that is determined by the date required. So working on the assumption that the date required is being applied to the cut lists. And then we've got this concept of a priority over on the left hand side. So if I just click on the edit button over here to give you an idea of what those priorities are. So we've got none, low, which is the blue down chevrons, medium, and then high, which is the red up chevrons. So the primary ordering conditions are date required followed by priority. We can obviously see over here in the progress bar how far that job is through. The description column is the cut list name, and if we click on that cut list, because we're still in PowerFab Office, albeit in the embedded web view, we can see the contents of that cut list and proceed as we would do normally. And then obviously most of the other fields are self-explanatory. Up at the top right here, we can turn on which fields we do and don't want to see. So in this case, I might want to turn on the workshop, and that will add that column in. You can reorder the columns here as well, so if I wanted to drag these around, I could do. And then this column on the far left with a little paint pot icon allows you to color by that particular field. So if in this case I just color by both workshop and machine, it just gives some visual kind of grouping as to what's related to each other. Not that I would recommend that you have it like this all the time, but just to demonstrate some of the functionality. So if I put on my kind of production planner or production manager hat for a moment, what I want to do here is start kind of prioritizing or organizing how and where my cut lists are going to be cut. So the first thing I'm going to do is just come to my filters again up at the top left, and you can see there's a cut list workshop. So if you've got multiple workshops and you've assigned cut list to a workshop, you may want to say, well, actually I'm only planning the Atlanta cut list at the moment, and then you may take that down another level, so maybe either machine group or machine. So in this case I'm just going to go to my saws, which is going to reduce the number of cut lists that I see down to those 5. So from here I've already explained how they are ranked or sorted, but if I want to change the order of those, I can use the edit icon over on the right hand side. So if I was to change this for argument's sake to be date required the 19th and make that a high priority, then we can see that that cut list is going to jump to the top because it's now got the same date required, but the priority is higher than the this wide flange cut list one. Also on the edit option there, you can see I can assign a particular machine. So at the moment, whilst this cut list is assigned to these saws, I may then determine that that particular cut list needs to be cut on the saw drill line. Okay, and I may then put a note there to say, please stack at line 1, or that could be anything. Obviously, just some way to communicate some additional information to the machine operators. And with that, we'll close the embedded web view and we'll go take a look from the perspective of a machine operator. But before we just jump into Go, I just want to make you aware under file administration, if I come to the user that I will use, under the cut lists area under remote permissions, you'll see there's a series of new permissions, and this is where you control what the users can and can't do. So I'll log in as a machine operator, so you may deem that you don't want machine operators updating the date required or the cut list description or the priority. However, it is okay for them to update the machine and the notes. That may differ if you have a shop foreman who's using PowerFab Go. They may want to be able to change some more of the administration side of things. Okay, so with that said, let's pull over PowerFab Go. It's important to use these new features that you're in version 2024, but let's just sign in there with Trimble ID. And what you'll notice for those familiar with PowerFab Go is we have a new landing page that reflects some of the more operation-based workflows that we've been adding recently. Previously, you would always go into a project, and you can get to that very easily by just clicking on the projects link there. However, we feel that now is the right time to start adding in an easier way for people to get to some of the more operational based features. So we're going to go into cut lists, and the filters do remember. So for an operator who always works in a certain shop at a certain machine or however it may be, the filters do persist and will come every time you log in on the same device. So here I'm a machine operator working in Minneapolis on the plate processing machines, and I'm not going to go through the interface because it's identical to what I've just shown you in the embedded view. You'll notice if I come to the edit tool that based on my permissions, there are items I cannot update, but there are also items I can. So if I'm going to start this particular cut list here, I may want to assign a machine there and any notes that I feel are appropriate at that stage. And then if I want to start working or continue working on a particular cut list, it's simply a case of just selecting the cut list description there, and that's going to take me into the regular cut list interface that PowerFab Go users will have been using for quite some time now. And from here, they can go into the particular sheet they're cutting, and I'll just cut this one here. So in essence, absolutely nothing's changed in how cut lists are processed. I can close that from up there, and that's then going to take me back to the main cut list interface, and we can see that progress has been recorded. Now, whilst we hope that all of our users are going to use the new interface where we can see all of the cut lists for all of the jobs and the prioritization across all of them, that might not be to everyone's taste. So if people still want to do it the, dare I say, the traditional way of going into a project, and I'll just go into that particular job there that I know has got some cut lists, and go into the prepared cut lists as they would have done previously, then effectively they're still benefiting from the same interface. So they've still got the filters to filter by the machine and anything else. and they've still got the prioritization which wasn't there in the previous version. Okay, so as I say, we hope that everyone kind of sees the benefit of seeing all of the cut lists for all the jobs alongside one another. But even if not, want to use kind of the job-based or project-based workflows, we can still benefit from some of the new functions as well. And that pretty much wraps up this functionality. As you can probably tell, I'm really excited about this new feature. Hopefully some of you are too. So please encourage your colleagues to use it and let us know what you think. Thank you.